O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel, that mourns in lonely exile here, until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to you, O Israel.
Welcome back, folks. This is our last Advent scripture talk, and like I said already, we're journeying, really journeying into the presence of God. That's what our prayer is in this Advent time, to discover the Christ who dwells within us in the womb of our communities, in the darkness of our winter time that can be transformed. Now, our reading says different to the readings before. The readings before talked about understanding the gift of God's words, God's Torah, and how it can become real for us. Or it talked about our search for wisdom, or it talked about the transformative reality of God's holiness. But today it's actually completely different. Today we get down into the nuts and bolts of human circumstance. And Isaiah isn't really talking in poetic terms very much at all. He's just talking about a row. A decent, good, old-fashioned row. A row with a king, of all people, in a strange little place that is kind of hidden away. A row that he has with a king, okay? Where the king says to him, one thing, and the king is a bit of a kind of a schleeveen of a fella who's always compromising himself. And Isaiah just kind of challenges him and says, no, stop this compromise. Just look for the holiness of God. And look for the holiness of God not in extraordinary things, not in sort of extraordinary language or in extraordinary signs. Look for the holiness of God in one of the most beautiful, simple and gentle signs that you'll ever see. Let's read our text from Isaiah for this week. The Lord spoke to Ahaz and said, ask the Lord your God for a sign for yourself, coming either from the depths of Sheol or from the heights above. No, Ahaz answered, I will not put the Lord to the test. Then Isaiah said, listen now, house of David. Are you not satisfied with trying the patience of men, without trying the patience of my God too? The Lord himself, therefore, will give you a sign. It is this: a maiden is with child, and will soon give birth to a son, whom she will call Emmanuel, a name which means God is with us. Now, like I said, this is not just poetic language at all. This is real, down-to-earth, proper circumstances of time, space. Ahaz is pretty useless king. And he's pretending again to he's been told, you can ask for a sign. You can ask for a sign from God, and you can ask for something from the depths of Sheol, from the depths of underneath to the heights of the heavens. Just ask. And he said, no, I wouldn't put God to a test like that. I'm a very devout, kind, good man. I wouldn't be putting God to a test like that. No, listen. Ask for a sign. And do you know what? Maybe that's actually part of the language that we should be using. Maybe we should look around us and say, where are the signs of your presence, Lord? And expect an answer. And expect an answer somewhat. Ask for a sign today. Ask for a sign of God's presence. But Isaiah goes on a little bit and says, well, tell you what, I'm going to give you a sign anyway. Look, there's a young woman about to have a child. And we're talking about a specific, real person here. A young woman preparing to have her child. Some of you listening to me might be in that circumstance. I got a lovely text early on Sunday morning from a friend of mine who said her child had been born. And it was just early on Sunday morning, just filled my day with such a happiness and a joy to think that little Zélie had been born. But this is what Isaiah says. Just look at that child. Look at that child and see how his reality will be borne out. that for all our faults and failings, for all our slips and our compromises, there is always the hope that comes in new life. There is always the real possibility of something new happening. And this is actually part of what the readings of today is all about. First of all, look for a sign in your world. Look for a sign. Look for a sign in our own times. Because God doesn't, and a sign does not have to be anything extraordinary or out of the ordinary, but rather learn to read what is happening around you. Somebody about to have a baby, or an old person with grace and dignity facing their final end. Someone having courage in the face of sickness and perhaps in the face of an imminent end. Someone else finding courage to live through a difficult moment in a crisis. Or someone else who asks for help, genuinely asks for help. These are all signs of our time. Open your eyes to them. Isaiah's particular sign is the sign of the sign of a child being born, and the hope that on this child there will be a new time, a time when things will be different, a time when we will understand that God is with us in a powerful and a real way. So that's what I say to you today as we leave this Advent time. Look for the signs of God's holiness in your life. In this winter time, look for the signs in the real things around you. Look for the signs in the lights in your street. Look for the sign in the gift of children who open their hearts with real joy to this time of the year. Look for the sign in the old people who genuinely seek wisdom. Look for those signs and remember that in these signs, in these real circumstances, God is with us. Holiness and the holiness of God's presence is not beyond us. It is not over the seas and far away. It is rather in the signs of the everyday. We conclude our Advent time of reflection on the readings. And I want to conclude it by reading again one of the Psalms. We remember at the beginning we started off with one of the Psalms of Ascent, one of these Psalms that were used on the different steps of the temple as people finished their pilgrimage there. Each of those Psalms kind of prayed for different things. Let's read one of the last ones of them today. O come, bless the Lord, all you who serve the Lord, who stand in the house of the Lord, in the courts of the house of our God. Lift up your hands to the holy place, and bless the Lord through the night. May the Lord bless you from Zion, he who made both heaven and earth. That's my prayer for you as we end this time of Advent, and as we end this time of guided by the prophet Isaiah, to understand the signs of God's presence in our world. May you know something of the God's peace. May the Lord bless you from Zion, he who made both heaven and earth. A blessed Christmas to you. Every hope and peace to you. Thank you very much indeed for accompanying me in these few weeks of Advent. A very, very blessed and happy Christmas. And may you know peace from Zion. Amen.
O come, O wisdom from on high, who ordered all things mighty lie. To us the path of knowledge show, and teach us in its way to go. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to you.